Alright, so first of all I'm gonna apologize. I'm playing on my laptop and my laptop is it's dying. And it doesn't run this game very well. I'm gonna have some very jagged frame rate occasionally. My screen is gonna freeze maybe occasionally. And in my previous video I said that Quake Champions does not have a champion with Quake 1 physics. And it seems like now we actually do have a champion with Quake 1 style physics. And it's in the new PTSD version. And the champion in question is Death Knight. And yeah, we got Quake 1 air control now. It doesn't feel exactly like Quake 1, but I think that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm just happy that there's finally something familiar in this game. Every other Quake physics iteration has something familiar in this game. Even CPMA, which is not even Quake originally. It's a mod. Very popular mod, but not Quake. Quake 2 players have something kind of familiar, and Quake 4 players have something kind of familiar. And well, Quake Live players, this is at its core, this is basically Quake Live movement with all kinds of gimmicks with different champions. So now we have finally something for Quake 1 too, and I think that's fine. And I understand it's a balancing design nightmare, especially as soon as you add CPM physics. You're going to have to nerf the hell out of everything. But I think there are some design decisions specifically related to these physics that while they have good intentions, there might be better ways to implement those intentions. Now, I'm going to predict that people will have two kinds of issues with this physics. And the first issue is the fact that you can't strafe jump with this physics. Strafe jumping doesn't work. And neither does my laptop. And the reason why that doesn't work is because, holy shit. Oh my god. There we go. Oh Jesus. The reason why it doesn't work is because strafe jumping was never a thing in Quake 1. You've never been able to strafe jump in Quake 1. You can strafe jump in Quake 2, Quake 3, Quake Live, Quake 4, even in CPM physics, but that was never a thing in Quake 1. But what you can do instead now is this. I call this diagonal bunny hopping. And it looks kind of silly and pointless. If you are, sorry about that, if you are using this to maneuver like you would with the more traditionally known technique like this. And it's kind of harder too, because you have to do this flick between the view angles, kind of like you have to with the regular Quake 3 style strafe jumping. But that's not the best part about this movement. We are circling around this object, and when we are circling around it with the normal technique, you can't see that object very well. If we want to shoot that object, then we have to flick at it like this if we want to continue our bunny hops. But with diagonal bunny hopping, first of all you can see the object as well as the direction where you're moving. And it's kind of easier to flick it too, because you can see where you're gonna be flicking your mouse. It's not gonna be like blind guessing like this. And if you wanna be more direct, you can also do this. You can just circle around and spam your rockets away. Or if you don't wanna see that object at all, you can also turn your back against it. And this is the beauty of Quake 1 physics. it's the same air control behavior for all 8 of your movement directions. And this is what makes Quake 1 my favorite movement physics for combat. Just look at this. Beautiful. So, the second issue people will have with this physics is the fact that you can't accelerate in straight line when you're airborne. And sometimes you do these straight up direct rocket jumps, and with Quake 1 physics that means you're gonna be stuck in the air. And if you wanna just quickly move forwards like you would in Quake 3, that's not gonna work. And that's gonna make jump pads kind of annoying. But what you can do, and what people do in Quake 1, is this. Hold on, that was kind of weird. People do this instead. Or if you just wanna get some momentum going on in the air, you can just frantically spin like this also. And get some dodging going on. Like that. You can use your left and right keys, or you can use your diagonal directions too, or you can use your forward key. Basically, if you're in panic, just press whatever key you want and just spin your mouse, and you're gonna be moving. I mentioned the jump pads before, and this brings us to our first design conundrum. Because what happens when you jump from jump pads with this physics, what I think happens is the air control gets disabled and it switches to Quake 3 physics instead, which is why you can accelerate in straight line from jump pads. And this was probably specifically done because of this Quake 1 thing. This is a very bad idea, because first of all, this game also has horizontal jump pads. So imagine you played Quake 1 and then you wanna air strafe there. Yeah. Suddenly you're not playing Quake 1 anymore. And like here too, in Quake 1 you could take this jump pad, then decide to make a U-turn and just fly back here. Not possible. I don't like this at all, for obvious reasons, and it feels really weird too, because you can strafe jump from jump pads, and then it just switches back to Quake 1 when you land. And we also have another design conundrum here, and it's the air deceleration mechanic that was added. And basically your speed is capped at 560, and if you go past that speed with rockets, you gradually, or not so gradually, get decelerated back to 560. And this just feels wrong. This feels so wrong. But I understand why it was made, because if you didn't have any restrictions, you would just be a unstoppable fucking railgun flying around the maps.
5-minute warning.
And the deceleration mechanic doesn't work with the jump pads, which makes it kind of inconsistent movement behavior. And it just when it does happen, it just feels wrong. It's hard to follow how fast you lose the speed, because you just kind of lose it, and feels like you're flying through water or something like that. And instead of this kind of weird deceleration mechanic, what I would recommend instead is doing Quake 1 style friction frame speed reduction. And how that works is basically just you lose a little bit of speed every time you land. And it's easier to follow your speed loss because it happens every time you land, not just randomly like this. Quakeworld doesn't have this mechanic, but Quake 1 does. And if you look at Quake 1 speedrun videos, and if there's a speedometer enabled, you will see that people rarely, if ever, reach speeds higher than 600 UPS. So technically then you could also get rid of this speed cap if you reproduce Quake 1 style movement faithfully. Personally, I would prefer that more than this speed cap thing. I've been focusing on the air movement the whole video so far, so I haven't really touched the ground movement even. Like, I don't know how to feel about this, but honestly I don't care. I don't care because I got this. I can do this, and 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 I can even do this. And that makes me happy. But the ground movement does feel kind of weird. But I think it's sort of in the ballpark of how Quake 1 feels. Except this thing obviously is not in Quake 1. And this only works for forward direction, which I don't know. I still don't understand why you can't just make it equal to every direction. Like, why isn't that the default philosophy with FPS movement? I don't understand. Like, every game where you can sprint, I hate it when you can only sprint forwards. Urban Terror is a good example because it's made with ID Tech 3 engine, which is Quake 3, I think. Was that the correct engine? I don't know. And because sprinting makes you go faster than, basically, even if you move diagonally, that's slower than forwards. And because of that fact alone, the most efficient way to strafe jump in that game is with forward key only, which is why Urban Terror players strafe jump like this. And that's just because the short-sightedness of adding sprinting only to the forward direction. And so this is kind of the same thing. Like, but you know what? I don't give a shit. I don't really have anything else to add, really. I might actually play this game after so many years, just because of this alone. I haven't really even like played this game properly. I've just been like trick jumping all the time. Like, that's the only way I've been enjoying this game. And I think it was like I played in some sacrifice tournament, but that's pretty much it. Couple random public deathmatch matches, but never like I haven't enjoyed this game. And the main reason is because it didn't have Quake 1 physics. Now it does, and now I might have to play this game. But I need a better computer to do that. Bye.